Hello, everybody. Welcome to Black Girl Trauma. My name is Bianca, and we are going to be having some discussions on this channel. And welcome to my channel. I mean, this is the first time, I'm not going to say this the first time it's been done. I mean, I've seen other channels like this be done, but this is going to be like straight in the raw. Like, this is going to be unfiltered, like no bars going to be held, and anything that is everything to say will be said, and it will be done in all honesty. So what is Black Girl Trauma? So I made this channel for obviously Black girls or whatever, but mostly I made this for Black girls that deal with trauma on a daily basis. Like, it can be childhood trauma, it could be you know, something that was like done recently, or and as an adult. But it's mainly for people that deal with trauma every day, how they cope every day, how they handle different situations while dealing with their trauma. So, which is me. And who am I? My name is Bianca. Obviously, I'm a Black girl. I'm 35 years old, a mother of 3. I live in the Chicagoland area. And I thought this was very necessary because I know I am not the only one that's dealing with trauma. So, and trying to live my life while I also deal with trauma. So, what is some of the trauma that I deal with? I mean, I deal with all kinds of trauma, starting from childhood trauma. My childhood was horrendous. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. But I deal with childhood trauma, mental trauma, sexual abuse trauma, emotional trauma on a daily basis. And I suffer from PTSD and anxiety because of the trauma, and also cannabis use disorder. Oh yeah, it's a disorder. Smoking weed on a regular basis is a disorder. Yeah, so every day I try to cope with parenting and having relationships as far as with significant others, family, friends, working relationships. It's very hard when you have trauma because it can affect it in a negative way if you allow it to. If you allow it to affect your life in a negative way, then that's when it becomes a problem. And I've hit many obstacles throughout my life where my trauma has caused me setbacks. It has caused me to not be able to move forward, or it has caused me important people in my life to leave my life. And I'm just now starting to realize at the age of 35 that I need to try to maintain, and I need to try to find some coping skills that will help me better my life as a whole overall. But most importantly, what made me want to be able to deal with my trauma is my kids. I always strive to be the best mom that I can be because I didn't have a mom. I grew up in a very violent home, a very dysfunctional home. A lot of my mom's siblings and my mom herself have schizophrenia. And just by the grace of God, it missed me, but it didn't miss one of my siblings. And she struggles with schizophrenia every day. And it took her a long time to realize, hey, I need to take my meds. And I'm so proud of her because it's very hard when you're 25 years old, 26 years old, and then all of a sudden, boom, it hits you out of nowhere. And then you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you you're schizophrenic and that you need to be on medication for the rest of your life. I mean, who wants to hear that at such a young age, and they don't know how to navigate with no parent or, with no type of guidance or anything like that. So I grew up in a home that was very dysfunctional. My mom was 15 years old. She got pregnant with me, and I'm the oldest of five. Now it's not five of us left, but it was five of us, four girls and a boy. And I pretty much grew up with my grandmother, and I love her the most, but she was very dysfunctional. Not towards me or any of the kids or anything like that. The grandkids, she loved us. She adored all of us. But her kids, by her being a mom at a very early age, it was just like trial and error with her too, and it kind of like trickled down to my mom. And then you throw on top of that a mental illness. It's like, you know, a horrible downward spiral for all the kids that are involved. So a lot of my family on my mom's side is schizophrenic. Some of my cousins are schizophrenic. A lot of them are schizophrenic. And it's just funny that you'll grow up with your cousins and you guys are sleeping on the floor together, having a good time, you know, eating at family functions. And then now they're an adult and they're like talking to themselves in a corner, you know. And you do feel kind of guilty because it's like, why them, not me, you know? But then you feel kind of happy that it's not you. But at the same token, it's just like one of those things like, why anybody? You know, why anybody has to be schizophrenic or have any type of mental illness? So I do feel bad for people that have mental illnesses, like deep ones. Like I do suffer from depression. A great deal. Sometimes it consumes me and I'm not ashamed of it because it was earned. And when I say that is earned, like I've been through a lot of shit throughout my life to be here, and just to know that I am still here and I'm thriving is an understatement, because I see a lot of people that don't thrive or they don't make it, and it's very hard. So in the beginning, as a child, from a very young age, I was responsible for my other siblings. I was confused about who my dad was. My mom played a lot of games with that, and it kind of made me feel upset because the man that I thought was my dad wasn't, and some of his family members would, you know, point it out that I wasn't, and it kind of made me confused because one of my siblings, which was his kid, we look exactly alike. Like we look like twins. I'm like, there's no way. Like, but then she would take me over this woman's house. She would introduce me to her as, she told me that it was my aunt, and the whole time it was my grandmother. Like my real actual biological grandmother. Like who does that? My mom hated me. Like I'm not joking, like she hated me, and this was pre-schizophrenia. Like she hated me because my dad didn't want her, you know. She was very young. He was a little bit older than her, not that much, but maybe like 22, 15 type of deal. And she was a liar. She lied, told him she was older. She dressed older. She looked older. She wore so much makeup and, you know, stuff like that. So back then, you know how it was in the 70s, like early 80s, and guys, they didn't care. Long story short, I always tell people, like, I'm just like so lucky to be here because my mom used to play Russian roulette with my life. Like, seriously, she would take a mattress and like sit it on my head and smother me, or like put her hands over my mouth. And one time she began to smother me, and I kid you not, it was just like, Bianca, just let go. Just let go. Because if you let go, then this will be the last time she does this. And I kid you not, like right before I was just like seeing the light, if you want to say seeing the light or whatever like that, I began to, she let her hand off my mouth. And I came back to, and I was so upset. I was so upset because I was like, God, why didn't you just take me? Because I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm only 4. She's pissed because I didn't change her baby's diaper. Like, you know, so we don't have a good relationship. She doesn't take her meds. She doesn't take responsibility for anything that she does. And so I pretty much grew up with my grandmother in the beginning. And my grandmother was somebody that was like totally influential in my life. Like if it wasn't for her, honestly, I wouldn't have any type of like foundation or self-esteem, because I seen her go through a lot. Like I seen my grandmother go through a lot with men. I seen her go through a lot with her children. I seen her go through, my grandmother had 8 kids, okay? And they were all dysfunctional, pretty much, in a nutshell. I would like to say 2 of them wasn't as dysfunctional, but the rest were just blatantly just wild, and either they all suffer from some type of mental illness. One I can't say in particular, but I know the rest of them do. And so it was just a scary situation growing up, because we would have like every year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and they would just fight for one reason or another. And it was anticipated every time. Even as a young child, it was anticipated. My grandmother had a house that was like the flop house, so we would go, I lived there, but everybody was there, like a breeding ground for anything you wanted: drugs, alcohol, sexual abuse, anything. And to be honest, although it was like that, I felt the safest there. Like honestly, nothing ever happened to me in that house, like ever. I had so many uncles, so many extra uncles from extra marriages that my grandmother had, or baby daddies, that they just love my grandmother and they always come and they always stick around. And but I never ever was touched, or I was never beaten or taken advantage of or anything like that. I was free. Let's just put it like that. I was free. I came and go as I wanted to. I know it sounds crazy. I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I would literally just like run the streets. But even though I was in the streets, like running around, I felt safe. You know, it was only until we left my grandmother's house and we were put into foster care. You knew that was coming. As irresponsible as my mom was, it was the inevitable. So got to foster care, and it was just like, wow. Wow, that's all I can say. I never knew human beings can act in such a way. And when I tell you, I would take my mom smothering me 2 times, 3 times a day, more, I would take that than what I actually went through in one foster home. Just one. Even though other things happened to me in other foster homes equally. But it was just one in particular that me and my siblings, we were able to stay together. And I thank her to this day for that. I thank her for taking all 4 of us in, because if not, I probably would not have a relationship with my siblings. And that is something that I cherish. I absolutely love my sisters. Like, I'm so proud of them. I probably don't tell them enough, but as much as they've been through, I don't care what they do. And they don't do too much. I mean, they had a ton of kids, but other than that, like, I'm so proud of them. Like, we don't have the relationship that we should have because of the trauma that we all experience, and it took us away from each other. Although we live close by each other, but we all have that working trauma that's keeping us separated. You know, one of my sisters is bipolar, and she has 6 kids. My other sister's schizophrenic. She has 6 kids, and they had all these kids because why? They were searching for love, and I get that. Like, I get it, but me personally, I can't be around that many kids. Like, it aggravates me. It aggravates my anxiety. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have the relationship that I would love to have. This is not what I thought our future would be. Like, I thought we would be like 3 bad bitches, 4 bad bitches. I say 3 because my youngest sister isn't here anymore. She committed suicide at the age of 17. And so that always sticks with me. And then, you know, I thought we would be like 4 bad bitches just owning this world, because everything that we went through, I was thinking like, oh no, we're unstoppable. We're, you know, can nobody touch us because we are who we are. We've been through the worst. Now, you know, let's make our life the best. And it didn't go that way for them, you know. It did go that way for me, but I took the long way around. And when I say I took the long way around, it was a lot of trial and error as far as being angry, want to fight all the time as a child. As a teenager, I would be like in and out of jail because I was angry and I was upset because I didn't have parents, and I was jealous of other kids because they did have parents and they did have a support system and they did have some type of normalcy, and I was just like, fuck y'all. Like, for real. Like, fuck y'all. Like, okay. But I never was one of those people that wanted to hurt people because I was hurt. No, I only hurt people that was trying to hurt me, try to bully me or try to point out that, my shortcomings, because, I already know my shortcomings. I don't need you to point it out. And so I'll get into a lot of fights. I was an easy target. Like, yeah, in grammar school, I was funny. Because I was beating everybody ass. Like, people will bother us all the time. Like, didn't your sister have those jeans on yesterday and you got them on? Yes, the fuck yes, she did. She did. She fucking had those jeans on yesterday, and I have them on today, and my other sister's gonna have them on tomorrow, and my other sister's gonna have them on the next day. You got a fucking problem with that? You want to loan us some jeans? And that was my attitude, and it was just like, or I would get into it because people were messing with my sister. Like, she was a nerd. She had glasses. They were, how can I put it? They were government issued glasses, state issued glasses, and they were ugly, and people would make fun of her and they would break her glasses. They would chase her home, and I will beat the fuck out of everybody. One by one, I would tell her, point them out. I will punch them in their fucking face because they didn't have they didn't have a mom. So I had to become the mom. Like, literally, that little girl on Crooklyn was me. Like, I resonate with her so much. Like, it's crazy because that's about the same time frame, But even to this day, let me tell you, if one of my sisters call me and they say, look, I killed somebody, I need you to help me bury the body, I'm finna bring the shovel. I'm bringing the motherfucking shovel, because they were never dealt the proper hand that they were supposed to be dealt. And I get it. So I'm always going to be there for them. There's nothing in this world they can't ask me for. Morally, immorally, seriously. And you know what? That's the way I'm going to die. We can be 89, 90, and 91. And if they call me and say, hey, I'm in this nursing home, this nurse tries to, do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get my walker. I'm going to creep my ass up there, and I'm going to beat that nurse ass as best as I can. So, anyway, I ended up in foster care. And foster care was horrible, and that added to my trauma. And then, what else added to my trauma? I was sexually abused over and over and over in foster care, which goes without saying. Physically abused, mentally abused. I mean, that's the good old foster care system for you. It never lets you down. And then I went from that, and then I went to the military. I had to take a long drink on that because, see, that was just like icing on the cake. For real. I mean, I had PTSD from being in foster care, but that was different, That was real different. That was life or death situation. Sometimes when you're faced with danger, and I did deploy, and I went to Iraq, and unfortunately, and a lot of women do not go to Iraq, they opt out, one way or another, voluntarily get out, or they end up getting pregnant or whatever. And so, but I went. I did go. And it was a few women there, and you guessed it, I got sexually assaulted. Again and again and again. And I'm not laughing because it's a funny thing. It's not funny at all. It's just typical. It's funny because it's still going on. It's been going on. And they have yet to rectify this problem. Like, you know it's going to happen. It's the worst feeling in the world to know that you're behind enemy lines and you know you're in somebody else's country and they want to fucking kill you. They want to kill you, right? Okay, we get that. You gotta trust, you know, they're after you. But I'm sorry, so is the motherfucker to the right and the left of you. They after you too. They after your pussy. So not only you gotta look out for the enemy, you gotta look out for your freaking comrades. Which is crazy because why? Why? You know? So, PTSD, anxiety, added on top of all the trauma that I have. And then, for good measure, God decided to take my firstborn son away from me via suicide. And that right there took me to, it heightened all of my trauma. It heightened all of my trauma and totally looked at the world in a different manner. Throughout my years, and this is a moment of truth, throughout my years, I suffered with suicidal thoughts, okay? Because of the life that I lived. It wasn't worth living. And I don't really know what got me through. Okay. I do know what got me through. Before I had kids and I was dealing with daily beatings and daily sexual assault in my foster homes, it was my siblings. It was my siblings that got me through because I was just like, fuck, if you leave, who's gonna take care of them? You know, who's gonna watch out for them? You know, and that got me through. Like, no, you can't leave. You know, because if you leave them, and that's not fair because they didn't ask to be here. No, it wasn't my responsibility, but I took it on, and I love them, and that's just like something that I just couldn't do. But I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to live anymore. Like, who wants to live? It was hell. I mean, this woman used food as a punishment. You know, she used food as a punishment. We'll get into that later, but it was horrible. And then, you know, my sister, she folded under pressure at 17. She committed suicide. God rest her soul. And I don't fucking blame her. I don't fucking blame her, not one bit. Like, was I hurt? I was devastated. I changed her diapers her whole life. From the moment she came out the pussy, I was there. I was the mama. Changing diapers, getting up 4 o'clock in the morning, combing her hair, getting her dressed. I was 10 years old, getting her dressed and combing her hair, getting on the city bus, taking her to daycare, turn around, cross the street, get on the city bus, come back home, and get the rest of the kids up, okay? I'm the mama. And it's just seeing her land in that casket did everything to me. Like, but at the same token, I was just like, good for you. Good for you. You did that shit. You got the fuck up out of here. Like, for real. And I was thinking that for a long time, but I didn't want to say shit because, you know, people are hurt behind it. And people are like, you know, she has so much life to live. But do you know what type of life she lived? Like, for real. Like, do you know what type of life? She lived 4 lives in 17 years. She lived 4 fucking lives. Like, she was tired. She was done. I don't blame her. And she know that. I talk to her on a regular basis. Like, you did that. Like, for real. Like, I'm not upset. Not at all. Like, and I don't condone suicide because it's a very hurtful thing. You know, the person gets out of pain. All they do is transfer it to the next person. It was transferred to me. I missed her. I had all type of visions for her. She was an artist and she was a damn good artist. And I just saw her like being this wonderful artist, you know, traveling the world and people seeing her drawings and stuff like that. That was the vision that I had for her. But you know what? Dealing with what she had to deal with, nah. I'm not gonna say she did the right thing. I'm gonna say she did what was comfortable for her, you know. Everybody not meant to be on this earth for a long time. Some people have a purpose, and it's time for them to go. And if you don't believe in God, I'm going to tell you right now, start, for real. I believe in God when I was little. And I used to go to church so I could eat because I was starving. I used to go to church so I could eat because I was starving. She was starving. She put a lock on the refrigerator and the cabinets and all that shit. But I would go there and I'm like, oh, these old ladies are going to cook bacon, eggs, pancakes. You know, I was just like, go to church, you can eat. Go to church, you can eat. But now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, that was an example of God's love, for real. It really was, because those old ladies didn't have to do that shit. They did it because they were, you know, walking in their purpose, and they were mimicking God. And so for that alone, I was able to benefit from it, you know, and I was able to see firsthand God's love. And so my son died. I was so mad at God. I'm not gonna lie. I was so mad at God. And it just made things worse as far as my trauma, because what do I turn now? You know? If you got trauma and you need and you believe in something, a higher power, whatever like that, and then you stop believing in that higher power because now you're like, you did me wrong, you did me dirty, and what do you have left? You don't have anything left. And so that adds to your trauma, because you're like, oh, I'm alone. I'm alone in this world. God doesn't love me. He fucking took my kid. Like, you know, he doesn't love me. And it's like, wow. So all of that being said, whatever, and now you know about all my trauma. So what is Black Girl Trauma Channel? I plan on discussing things that can help people like myself. And we're going to discuss things like me, myself personally. How do you cope with having trauma and having a boyfriend? Or how do you cope with having trauma and parenting? How do you cope when you have trauma and you want to be a good friend to your friends? That's the stuff that we're going to talk about, and anything else you guys would like to talk about or will want to, you know, hear me address. And this is a free-for-all. I mean, grab your drink, because I'm gonna grab mine. Grab your drink, and then let's tune in, because nobody wants to talk about these things. Everybody want to act like everybody's perfect on social media. No, we're not. Not even close. A lot of times, me personally, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a business. And sometimes I get to a point, it's like, I forget that I do suffer from depression. And then as soon as I'm not busy, you know, and I'm not doing anything, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm failing. Or if I can't get out the bed, or I don't wash my ass because I'm so depressed, I feel like I'm failing. I don't look at it as depression. I look like you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. So that's what I'm here for. For those days where you can't get out of bed and you feel like you're not doing enough, or you're not washing your ass, or you're not, you know, taking as many self-health days as you should, or whatever. I'm here. I'm here for you, to remind you that you're doing wonderful. One tip I'm going to give you is, if you're feeling like, you know, you're not yourself, okay, and you feeling like, you know, you're not doing enough, one thing I do is I always count the things that I did do, and I don't count the things that I didn't do. Because if you get to starting to count, if you start counting things that you didn't do, it's going to depress you. But if you count the things that you did do, say you got up and washed your ass. That's one thing you did. You get what I'm saying? That's one on the scoreboard. You get up and brush your teeth. That's two on the scoreboard. You know, now we on the roll. Get up. Maybe you swept the floor or, you know, took a few phone calls from your bed for your business, whatever. That's three on the scoreboard. Count those instead. Don't count what you didn't do. Because if you keep on worrying about what you didn't do, you get deeper and deeper. We're going to talk about substance abuse. We're going to talk about promiscuity. We're going to talk about family dynamics and how it plays a role in your trauma. We're going to talk about kids and making sure we don't traumatize them, because we can do that. I've done some growing throughout the years, and look, I'm one of those parents, I'm on top of every damn thing when it comes to my kids. Like, my baby daddies know not to play when it comes to my kids. I don't allow my kids' fathers to do anything abnormal to them, or they gotta come see me, and they don't want to see me. I promise you they don't, because I'm gonna advocate for them. I don't want them to have to spend their entire adulthood trying to, you know, basically, you know, get like recover from their childhood. No. So I'm very self-aware and self-conscious on the things that me personally, I do to them, say to them, because I know it will carry on. I know that things that are said to them in a negative way or done to them in a negative way, it will be in the back of their head, just like things that are in the back of my head from my mom. And so I try not to. I'm not perfect. No, not by a long shot. When it came to my parenting, I pretty much mimicked what was done to me. Let me take that back. I don't want you to think I smothered my fucking kid, because I didn't. But it's like, as far as ass whoopings in the beginning, I used to whoop they ass, like, for real, because that's what was done to me. Now, my oldest son, he got some ass whoopings, but they were warranted. My other two, they chill, and like, they're so far apart. Like, I've had time to grow. I've had time to basically learn other skills. But if it gets bad enough, I still beat their ass, for real, on their ass. Very legal. I used to be a foster parent, and I took foster parent courses, and they were telling me the legal way to beat a kid's ass, and I was happy to hear that. Although you can't whoop a foster kid, but they were telling me, like, you know, if you want to whoop your own kids, this is how you got to do it without going to jail. I was very happy to hear that. But these days, it's far and few in between. They don't get any ass whoopings, but that's the type of stuff that, you know, you carry with you, and we're going to discover all those things, like other coping skills other than that, to, you know, so your kids won't be traumatized. How to deal with family members that probably in one way, shape, or form abused you without you feeling resentful, you know, or without you being triggered. And so it's a lot of things we're going to talk about, but mostly I want you guys to comment. I want you to drop everything that you feel is necessary. I mean, this channel will be raw, like raw. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, because I'll tell you something. I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. And that was my son. And after I lost my son, I didn't give a fuck no more. What else can I lose? I can lose another kid, yeah, of course. But it ain't gonna feel like that first time, that first child. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be hurt. I'm gonna be downright depressed. But the first time is when it shocked me. It's not, that shock factor is not gonna be there no more. So therefore, I'm able to cope a little better the second time around if it happens. And God, please don't let it happen. But if it happens, and I don't plan on it happening, but I don't give a fuck no more. I'm here for you guys for the most part. I'm working through my trauma. I don't go to therapy or anything like that, because when it came to therapy, it was just like, you want me to do that? Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna do that shit. And then it was like, I would be like happy, my little happy mode or whatever. And then my phone, it will pop up, therapy, 2:30. Oh, I don't want to talk about this shit today at 2:30, because you know what? I feel good right now. I don't want to talk about this shit, because if I start talking about it, then it's going to make me go down. And you know what? I can't be down right now, because you know what? I have kids to take care of. I have a job to do. I have a household to take care of. I can't afford to be in bed 3-4 days because I didn't brought up some old shit that's triggering me. So I'm not telling you not to go to therapy. That's not what I'm talking about. Therapy don't work for everybody. And then one time I had a therapist when I was 13. Oh, I take that back, Lord Jesus, please. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. But I'm going to say this anyway. And I'm going to bring it up again later. When I was 13, I had a psychiatrist. And I'm going to tell people this. Don't be so in a quick in a hurry, put your kids on meds. Just don't. And I went to see a psychiatrist. Older, black guy, heavy set. And we were talking. Well, to be honest, I was dreading going in there. I was thinking in my head, like, how can I convince this guy that I'm not fucking crazy? Because I don't want this guy to put me on meds. That I'm not crazy, that I'm just hurt, I don't have parents, and I'm just going through a lot in my life right now. Just please don't put me on meds. And I was thinking that to myself before I got in. I'm gonna get in there. I sit down and I got my story straight. Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for his first question. And you know what his first question was? What color panties you got on? The fuck? What are you talking about? What kind of panties you got on? What color panties you got on? No, this was evaluation. Yeah. If I asked you, would you let me smell them? Yeah. I told on his ass. And guess what happened? You know what happened. Nobody believed me. Why? Because I'm a troubled teenager. So what did they do? They assigned me to see him outpatient at his office at night. And both of my foster parents were on heroin. I mean, they was fucked up. Like, I'll be talking to them, and they both would be like under the nod, act like they weeble wobble, but they won't fucking fall down. And they'll be like, yeah, Bianca, go in there and clean out the refrigerator. I'm like, what the fuck? But I'm 13. I don't know what fucking heroin is. You know what I'm saying? But I have a friend of mine. She told me what was going on. I'm like, damn. I'm like, yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. But they give me a bus pass and they say, hey, you could take yourself. You take yourself to your appointment. So here I am, 13 years old, on a city bus, going to meet a man, psychiatrist. that wants to know what my panties smell like. So no, I don't trust psychiatrists or therapists or anything like that because of him in particular. But he ended up getting caught. That was a good thing. Fast forward a year later, he did it again, and it was another young lady. Unfortunately, she was like a year younger than me, so she was like 12, which is unfortunate because that's really a kid. Like, I mean, I was a kid, but she really was a kid, and it was just like, wow, y'all believed her, but y'all didn't believe me, which crushed my self-esteem, obviously. Like, definitely crushed my self-esteem, and that's what trauma does. Like, trauma crushes your self-esteem, it crushes your self-worth, it crushes everything. It hindered me, and it immobilized me to go after the things that I really wanted to do. And so it took me a long time to get to where I needed to be, and I was jealous of a lot of people oftentimes when I was a kid. But when I got older, I started to realize, like, wow, you know, I was seeing like all of my friends graduating from college, and they had bachelor's degrees. Now, mind you, we were all in the same gifted program. Like, we were all in the same accelerated gifted program. And when you are in the accelerated gifted program, you are with the same 30 kids year after year after year. So from kindergarten to 8th grade, I was with these kids, you know, and I saw them, and I'm like, wow, like, this person's graduated and that person's graduated. And I'm like, look at me, I'm still fucking 3 credits in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't fucking get past these 3 credits because I got so many distractions. I'm a mom now. I have to work because my fucking sperm donors are deadbeats. And I'm like constantly having this, and I thought this would never go away, but I was having this feeling of wanting to be in college. And I was really like older, like 26, 27. I still wanted to be in college, and I still wanted the campus experience. And I did have it. I took my son to college with me and everything. My first year of college, I went or whatever, and I did. And I ended up a year later going to the military because I just needed something more. But I still felt like I was behind. And I wasn't. I was exactly where I needed to be at the time I needed to be. Because I look back and I'm like, well, this girl has both of her parents, and this kid has both his parents. And so that's, you know, and then even if they didn't have both parents, they had parents that were lawyers, that were, you know, accountants. They went to college and stuff like that. And I look at my mom, she on a fucking corner with her ass out drunk, you know. So not saying it's an excuse or it lowered my ambition, you know, but at the same token, like, I really had no role models, like, not a one. I had no role models at all. And so I told myself, I'm going to be a do as I do parent instead of a do as I say parent. Because when it comes down to it, I want my kids to not be like, well, you didn't do X, Y, and Z. And be like, shut the fuck up. But instead of doing that, because that's what we do, I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I didn't do myself. So, you know, and I'm conscious of that. I'm conscious of the choices that I make. I'm conscious of the decisions that I make and the actions that I take, because everything trickles back down to them. And so, again, I'm glad you guys tuned into my channel. I'm hoping I can help anybody in any kind of way, whether it be small or whether it be major. I mean, anything can help. Like I said, I never had a role model. I never had nobody to turn to. I never had nobody to talk to. I did have an aunt, and she was kind of weird as fuck. And we eventually had to cut ties, and I was just like, wow, when I did, my life got so much better, unfortunately. But I did look at her semi as a mother, and God did send me an angel. He really did. When I was 17, he sent me this angel, and I was pregnant with my son, and he sent me an older woman, and she literally has been by my side ever since. And so she doesn't have a daughter, thank God. You gotta worry about that fight. And she's been very loyal to me throughout the years, and I'm very grateful for her. So if there's any women out there that don't have children and you feel inadequate, it's a lot of kids out there like me that need people like you. She literally was my go-to throughout from 17 until now. Oh, I know for a fact, I'm 35 years old, I'm still a pain in her ass. I know this because I don't listen for shit. And she told me, you know what, Bianca, I'm just gonna tell you, my job is just to tell you, you're gonna do whatever you want to do. You goddamn right. But at the same token, in the back of my head, I hear her saying, you know, things, and I think about it, and I reevaluate. I'm like, okay, maybe she's right. But it's kids out there that need that. It's a lot of kids out there that need that. So don't feel like you're inadequate because you don't have a kid or you can't have a kid. It's kids out here. We need you. We need you. I'm 35 years old. I would not say that I don't need her. I don't have a mom. I hate to say that I don't have a dad, because I do have two. But like I said, that's a long story. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, you can make a difference in some young woman's life, and it can hold so much weight to her, and it can actually help her go move mountains. She helped me move mountains. I was 19 when I went to the military, and my aunt that was weird, she bagged out on me. She backed out watching my son for me maybe 2 days prior. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And God made a way, because she said, I'll take him. I'll take him. A total stranger, no blood relation to me whatsoever. And of course I didn't want to leave my son. I literally took my son to college with me, and he lived in the dorms with me, and I would go to class. He was 2 years old, and I would go to class, and I would come back, and I would check on him, and I would go to class, and I would come back, and I would leave food out for him, my little mini fridge, and I'll come back, and then he'll be up, he'll be eating, and I'll put the TV on for him, and I will come back, I'll go to the cafeteria, and I would get food for him, and I would bring it back to him, because I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to take him, but I also wanted to make sure that I had a bright future. So that's what I had to do. But she took him. I was able to go to the military. I was able to, do what I needed to do. And that was the best decision ever for me. I did have a hard time, not gonna lie. I actually got kicked out. And, but that's another story. But I ended up getting, I got kicked out wrongfully. I got kicked out. But as of last year, 2021, I got the justice that I deserved, and I'm getting my honorable discharge. Was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I earned it. And so I'm so happy that they were able to go back. And anybody that was in the military, it's hard to get a discharge upgrade. Like, you have to, it takes years, and you have to have an overwhelming amount of evidence to get this upgrade, because they don't do this. They want you to have character witnesses. They want you to have all this stuff. And I didn't have a witness. I didn't have anything. All I had was what was in my chart. And I got my upgrade because it was deserved. And I got put out wrongfully. But let's just say my attitude, having that trauma and still feeling like, somebody owed me something, which I felt like my parents owe me something. But at this point, I'm an adult, and I had to come to the conclusion that nobody owed me nothing at this point, because I'm an adult. And getting kicked out was very hard for me to accept because of the situation, but I did. And so I was just like, Okay, I'm not gonna let this make me or break me, but I whooped my first sergeant ass. It's not funny. It's not funny at all, but she had it coming, and she obviously has to go through some trauma herself. Rape in her career, and she felt as if that was the rite of passage, and everybody has to go through this. No, the fuck you don't. No, you don't. But since you believe so and you ran up on the right one, yeah, but that's another story I want to say for another day. But I was happy about getting my little discharge upgrade. But anyway, back to my angel. I love her so much, and when I pray for her twice, because she do believe in me, and she do give me the support that I need. And it is so imperative when you are dealing with trauma on a daily basis that you have support. And sometimes she gets upset with me because I don't answer the phone for her, and I don't talk to her for a while, and I can't explain to her, because I'm not her child, but I know she looks at me as her child. But it's just like, it's hard for me to explain to her, like, I know you're calling me, I know you want to know how I'm doing, but right now in this moment, I don't want to live. And I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you that because I don't want you to be worried about me. I don't want the speech, that comes with that. So I just don't talk to her. But the good thing is, I know if and when I need her, she's there. And that's good to have. It's very good to have, because when you start to feel better and you do decide that you want to live, you can call that person and express how you feel, and you can get that off your chest, and that person will be receptive to you and not take your information and spread it around. And that's very important, to have that one person in your life. You just need one. People think you need a lot of friends and stuff like that. You just need one good, solid person. It doesn't matter how it looks like. I tell her everything. I know a lot of the shit I be talking about, she do not want to hear, especially like when it comes to my love life. I can guarantee a Black Christian woman listening to a millennial about her love life and sexual escapades, all she do is hit me with what God wants. Let me tell you what Bianca needs. I know what God wants, but let me tell you what Bianca needs, okay? So I try to keep it to a minimum when it comes to that, but sometimes I need to say what I need to say, because sometimes I need to get shit off my chest. Like, am I wrong for doing this? Am I wrong for busting him upside his motherfucking head? And the first thing she said, you going to jail, but you don't buy me out though. And I know it, and I love you for that, and I thank you. I thank you for that. I thank you for being a mom to me. I thank you for being a support. I thank you for being a Black queen, setting the standard. I would get so upset when people would be like, you act just like her. And I'm like, no, the fuck I don't, because of the age difference. It was only because of the age difference, not because of who she was and what she stood for. It was just because of the age difference. But now that I'm older, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I do. And I'm proud of it, because she's a phenomenal woman, and you don't get that too often. And like I said, I didn't grow up with any role models. So just to be able to get one, I'm blessed. And I don't take her for granted. Not at all. I would never, because I know what it feels like not to have. And unfortunately, like my siblings, they don't have that. And I feel sorry for them. But I try to be that to them, you know, as much as I can, as much as they will allow me. So I just encourage everybody to be that person that you want for yourself. So if you want a caring, loving person, then you be that person to somebody else, you know, and you take that, and it's like a trickling effect. Because what she gave me, I was able to give to my kids, and they'll give it to their kids, and then guess what? We'll have a better world. Because, you know, us black girls, we don't get that. Us black girls, we are always looked upon as being loud, and we're always ghetto, and always seem like the aggravator, or we can't speak about things because we're supposed to be the strong one. We're supposed to be the one that has all the answers. We're supposed to be the one that continuously be by, you know, our men's side, and continuously be there for our children, and continuously be there for the world. But who is there for us? Like, who's there for us? Like, nobody, you know? So I'm just here. I'm happy to be able to share with you guys. I do not know what my topic of conversation is next. Let me find out. So next topic of conversation will be living with trauma and how do I cope. I dropped a little hints on how I cope. I know y'all may have forgot in the beginning when I was saying, like, you know, what I suffer with, but it's many things that I do to cope, you know, outside of substances. I do substances, but you know, outside of that, I have a lot of things that I do, and I'm gonna share it with you guys next time. So next time, grab a pen and a paper and come with your comments, come with your questions, likes, and just, you know, like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to see something, or you want a topic to be discussed, drop it in the comments. There is absolutely nothing that I won't cover. If you don't want your name to be said, I won't say your name. You know how to tell me. You can inbox me. Oh, I take that back. You can email me at blackgirltrauma@gmail.com if you have specific grimy ass questions that you want me to cover. Then you can hit me up there. Black Girl, spelled exactly the way it sounds. BLACKGIRL trauma@gmail.com. And you can email me, you can share your stories, do whatever. I'm here for anybody. I do, like I said, I run a business, so don't be upset if I can't get back with you right away, but I will get back with you. And if you want me to share your story, I'll share your story on here, and then I can elaborate on it, and then we can just go from there. So again, like, share, and subscribe if you want to hear more stories, if you want to hear anything from me, and I will definitely share or give my insight on what you should do or whatever. But that is it for today. Thank you for making it through your first official episode of Black Girl Trauma, and I hope I haven't ran you guys away. I hope you guys stay, because it's just gonna get better from here. It's just a roller coaster ride of shenanigans and more fucked up shit and more stories and tips and coping skills and more of becoming a better you, because that's all I'm here for people to become better and becoming a better me. Maybe you guys can help me out, you know, do some things that I probably never would have considered before. So again, like, share, subscribe. Let your friends know it's a place that they can go. They can be free. and they can be themselves and they can get their questions answered no matter how rogue it is. Have a good night.